Hi, it's Casey, and I'm here to talk about my independent novel choice, Lone Survivor, by Marcus Luttrell and Patrick Robinson, where Marcus Luttrell gives his first hand accounts of Operation Red Ring in Afghanistan, and Patrick Robinson rescinds it into words and acts as a novelist and made this novel. So I'm in my backyard, and this is a mediocre representation of the Hindu Kush Mountains in Afghanistan, where Luttrell and the 3 other members of SEAL Team 10 were waiting to ambush Taliban leader bin Sharmak. That's an anonymous name given to the actual leader of the Taliban, but the name is not disclosed in the novel. So I got some trees and some reeds and grass behind me and stuff to show an important part of the scene where the SEALs hid behind trees and used trees as protection from an ambushing squadron of Taliban members. So the author of this book is technically Patrick Robinson, as he physically wrote the book and put it into words, but it is the accounts of Marcus Luttrell himself who supplied the information and the details and everything necessary. So the ghostwriter of the book is Robinson, but it's supposed to be more about Marcus Luttrell's experiences. And Luttrell was born in Houston in November 1975, and he was born to a family based off military involvement. At the young age of 14, him and his brother Morgan started training with retired Army veteran Billy Shelton, and he trained both of them to be SEALs. He got them ready for buzz training and for what to expect. His career as a SEAL, Luttrell served on SEAL Team 5 and SEAL Team 10, where he was a recipient of the Navy Cross and the Purple Heart Award, and nowadays he shares experiences to younger SEALs and younger members serving. Robinson is a 78-year-old English writer who writes many wartime accounts and takes people's experiences from war and puts it into stories. So trivia on the book, not only is this a #1 national bestseller, but this is also an accredited movie, as it has won many Academy Awards and Oscars. So it's successful as in text and on film. And it gives many accounts of the Navy SEAL training and the process of becoming a Navy SEAL. So my favorite passage is late in the book, around page 240. It's the death of Michael Murphy, and it's where he sacrifices himself for the members of the team. So, knowing the risk and understanding the danger and the full knowledge of the phone call could cost him his life, Lieutenant Michael Patrick Murphy, son of Maureen, fiancé of the beautiful Heather, walked out into the firestorm. His objective was clear: to make one last valiant attempt to save his 2 teammates. He made the call, made the connection, reported our approximate position and the strength of our enemy and how serious the situation was. When they shot him, I thought mortally. He kept talking. So the trail goes on and on how he'll never forget this moment due to Michael Murphy, his best friend, dying for the lives of others. So let's have a moment of silence for that real quick. Okay, finishing the passage. So it says, Mikey was still firing, but suddenly I heard him scream my name, the most bone-chilling, primeval scream. Help me, Marcus, please help me. He was my best friend in all the world, but he was 30 yards up the mountain, and I could not climb him. I could hardly walk, and if I moved 2 yards out of my position, they would have hit me with bullets. So this is a really important part of the novel, and it speaks to me because this is the relationship between a commander of the team and his best friend, a comrade, who is Luttrell. Commander sacrifices himself for the good of others to send a distress signal to hopefully call in reinforcements to help them out of the situation. So this is the lieutenant and a guy that has a family and a wife and parents and just everything going for him. He sacrifices himself for his others. So that is just a really important part of the novel to me, because it represents the epitome of war and how there's so many variables and so many possibilities can happen and nothing's certain. That's what makes war so dangerous. So that leads to my themes, which are honor, brotherhood, and sacrifice. Honor is seen in the book through the way the SEALs act. They don't run from the fight. They butt their heads in and they stick together and they look at their problems and they face them as men, and they aren't afraid, and it's just they love greeting an honorable death, which to them is part of the thrill of the battle, and that's really respectful for them. Brotherhood is seen in the way the SEALs act with each other. They're fighting for each other's lives out there. So the brotherhoods and comrades of the SEAL team are seen in the novel, and this is kind of like strengthens the relationships between people when reading the book. And it's also seen when Luttrell is by himself, when he's acting as the lone survivor. He has to make relationships with Sarawat and Gutab, members of the village to help his chances of survival. And sacrifice is seen because these people are deployed overseas in foreign lands and really putting everything on the line, their lives, to protect us here in America and prevent the spread of terrorism. So this shows how these people act, and it shows a lot of valiance and character from them. And I can connect this novel to Lone Survivor. I can connect Lone Survivor to Crime and Punishment and Frankenstein. Crime and Punishment, the connections are the portrayal of human nature. Dostoevsky shows how society can affect one and their actions and their nature in his novel Crime and Punishment. But this just shows how society and other people's actions affects nature. So the downfalls of society can change one person, as seen in Crime and Punishment and Raskolnikov, but the downfalls of society are further mentioned and explained in this, when it's a war between two groups with differences and disagreements trying to settle their argument, which is what war is. And in Frankenstein, we see how Dr. Frankenstein creates a monster and has to deal with that monster for the rest of his life, and it causes him a lot of struggles and dooms. And that kind of is, in a nutshell, what war is. War is us humans not being able to settle our differences. So we create the monster as war. So the war that we create, that causes many problems for us to cope with for the rest of our lives and deal with, not just at the time, not just when the war is over, but for the rest of the time after the war, as it permanently scars mankind. And why read this book and why should we care? We should read this book to further gain respect and inspiration from the people that serve for us. Not everyone gets the chance, or not everyone sacrifices themselves to go overseas and protect the country we live in. So I feel like this book is important to see what happens overseas and see what happens for the people that are deployed and in our armed forces, especially it being the weekend after Memorial Day weekend, a very important day and very important weekend for those in the military and those serving and those who have family in the military. And we should care because these are the first-hand accounts of the people, the citizens, people like us, that are going overseas and into foreign territories to fight oppressive governments and threatening groups of people that are harsh. And so these people have to make harsh sacrifices, so we should care what goes on. We should care about their experiences. That's Lone Survivor in a nutshell. Thank you very much. Bye.